Hi everyone, it's Leah and I am so excited that you're here. Today I am thrilled to have Ashlee Proffitt with me, and we are going to be talking about characteristics of a strong brand. I'm super excited to have Ashlee. Welcome Ashlee, so good to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Ashlee and I got to meet originally, we were both speaking at the Inspired Retreat hosted by Amber Housley back... It's been a while. Anyways, and she's adorable and an absolute delight, and she is amazing when it comes to branding. So I'm really excited to have her share some insights with all of us today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Leah. You're so sweet.
All right, well, let's just jump right in. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, how do each of us as an individual, how do we identify our own style?
You know, that is such a great question. And I'm going to give you kind of a silly answer. I'm going to say step one is to look in your closet. I think that a lot of creatives and business owners get stuck on what their unique aesthetic should be, and they forget that they already have one. And so I would say look in your closet. If you look in my closet, it's very similar to what I have achieved in establishing my brand. And so one of my first steps when I bring on a branding client is to tell them to look in their closet to see what colors are they naturally drawn to. Like if you walk into a store, what colors are you drawn to? What style? Are you more formal or informal? Are you casual? Are you whimsical? That sort of thing. That's a really good measure of your ideal style. I would say your home is another great marker. I think in business we just get stuck. We're afraid to kind of explore what our style really looks like, and so your home is probably decorated in a way that feels comfortable, that like the things that you're drawn to. And if not, if it's like a budget reason that you've never decorated your home or have your ideal closet, think about where you would shop. What stores are you drawn to? Are you drawn to White House Black Market or an Anthropology? And like two very different aesthetics. And so like what would be your ideal store? And that could kind of lend itself to helping you kind of uncover what aesthetics you're drawn to.
I love that.
So that would be kind of like the simple answers, like just to begin exploring that. My next step would be to get on Pinterest. So I'm kind of like I love and hate Pinterest. And so I tell my clients to just dive in there and pin lots of things that they love and then to get off of it, because I want you to like find inspiration there, like because it can help you figure out what you're drawn to. Like I love that, but I hate that. And then I want them to get off of it so that they're not trying to be someone else. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that is such a hard part with Pinterest, because what can happen is you go and find someone else's brand and you're like, that's me. That is exactly what I want. But, that's already been established as someone else's brand, and we have to find our own identities. Okay, I love that. So
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing, just to keep in mind when you're pinning. I don't let my clients pin brands, so logos. Like they're not allowed to bring those to the table for that very reason. So they can be drawn to a thing, like a characteristic about that specific brand, but I want them to be able to communicate why they love it versus like just being drawn to that specific logo or note card or design. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think that we can investigate and arrive at a really cohesive aesthetic without mirroring another creative.
I love that. And I've always suggested as well to stay out of your own industry. So don't pin anything from your industry. Go find, so for me, I pinned lots of interior design. I pinned clothing. I pinned party styling things that I really loved. Those were all things that were completely outside of what I do as a success strategist, but really helped hone in on what I'm drawn to and everything. Okay, I love that. So can our styles change? I mean, I know the answer is yes, they change. They definitely change. But how do we need to feel bad about them changing all the time? Do we need to try to keep it for so long? How should we look at that process?
That's another great question. I think, yes, we naturally change. I think specifically as business owners, and if you're in a creative industry, so photographer, interior designer, florist, any of those industries, we're seeing the most beautiful things all the time. And so when new beautiful things come out, we're like, oh my gosh, I want that. And so yes, our style can change. It will change. My closet looks differently now than it did 5 years ago. However, I would caution any business owner from making consistent changes all the time. So consistently changing. I would say the marker of a strong brand is that it's timeless. And a timeless brand should be able to pull in elements that could change. So, for instance, maybe you're in a season where you love polka dots, and so now you wrap your gifts in polka dots. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you have a new polka dot background on your website. So maybe you pull in elements that are kind of accents. So think of it as like jewelry or a scarf, and like those things can change out versus like your logo should be classic and not changing from year to year. And I think that really comes into play when you have a strong brand designed. I'm not making a plug for myself, but a good designer a good designer is going to ask those hard questions. That's going to say, do you really want that that specific look because you are drawn to that, and it measures up to your aesthetic and your mission and vision? And we're going to talk about a few different things, but are you drawn to it because of that, or are you drawn to it because it's really trendy and popular right now? And because I think you can have both. You can have a really strong classic logo. Take a Kate Spade or a J. Crew. Their logo doesn't change, but the way they accent it, the way they design their catalogs each month, like those things kind of change and are, on trend. Yeah. So can it change? Yes. And I think I'm going to talk about 5 characteristics of a strong brand. If I were going to do 6, I'm not, but my 6th would be flexibility. So over time, your brand will need to change. I just don't think it should be a year-to-year thing, or I think that's a marker of someone who just really didn't dig deep and figure out what they really wanted. Sorry if that's painful.
All right, so what are the 5 characteristics? What are the 5 characteristics that are going to demonstrate a really strong brand?
Okay, my first one, and this might sound a little bizarre, is to have a well-developed mission and vision. So I think with a good purpose, a defined purpose for what it is that you're doing, a clarity of that purpose, that will lead into a strong brand. Because if we were going to define what a brand is, it isn't a logo or a business card or a website. It's the entire experience. It's when somebody comes to you, your business as a whole, they are getting this very well-rounded experience. It's what somebody thinks of you and says about you when they walk away from being introduced to your business or experiencing your business. So my first one is mission and vision. Without a clear mission and vision, there's no filter through which to kind of ask the hard questions about what it means to have a strong brand. My next one is authenticity. So really knowing who you are. So asking that question, like, what is your unique style? What is your unique aesthetic? What are you drawn to? I always joke that my first logo had, I'm pretty sure it had purple and damask pattern.
Oh, that was so in for a while, though.
Right?
I had my damask.
For sure.
For
sure it was trendy. Yeah. I am the least damask aesthetically oriented person on the planet. And it took me sitting in a room I was having a branding assessment done, and the lady was like, I'm so confused by why you have damask. And it made so much sense after she said that. And also, I hate purple. I hate purple. I have no idea why there was purple. So it just is really saying, okay, who am I? What am I drawn to? And doing that hard work. So defining your mission and vision. If I sat down with you right now and said, what is your mission? Could you tell me what that is? Who am I selling to? What am I selling? Why am I selling it? Asking all those questions. There's some really great resources about developing a strong mission statement out there. And then figuring out who you are, so being authentic. I think that even goes into the type of language that you use. And you can talk about that. Like, that's a whole nother video interview. Yeah. But like, when you're talking on social media, what do you sound like? It should be consistent from thing to thing, and that's how we know you're authentic. Does that, because you're the same person over here that you are over here.
You want them to meet you and feel like, yes, this really connects. This totally makes sense. I like thinking of your brand is your business's personality. And so, and we want to put our very best personality forward. It's not like when we say like, look in your closet, look at other businesses. It's that very best version. I always say, I'm like, it's not where you go because that's where you afford. It's if you could go anywhere, if you could, what would that? I love that. Okay. All right. So what comes next?
So I love that you said it's our business's personality, because I think a lot of businesses, their brands are schizophrenic. They're like one thing over here and one thing over there. Anyway, that's such a perfect example. The third characteristic of a strong brand is that you have identified who your ideal client is, because that determines a lot of things, like where you position yourself in the market, what your website should look like, how and where you should post on social media. All of those things are determined by who your ideal client is. For instance, if my ideal client is businesswomen, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to position myself on social media, I have to think to myself, where are those business women spending their time on social media? And I need to be there. So there's just like a whole lot of questions that you can kind of unpack there, but really knowing who your ideal client is. And I do think that has become like this weird catchphrase. Everybody says like, know your ideal client, but nobody's really helping people understand. Maybe, I'm sure you are helping people understand what that is, but
we do a lot of exercises around that.
Okay.
But I want to ask you a question about that, because where I see people get kind of stuck is that they feel this inconsistency of hearing these 2 points of, number one, your brand, go look at your closet, go look at businesses you love, right? So your brand is a reflection of your personality, especially for all of us who are solo entrepreneurs. Like, we are our brands, we are our businesses. And then we say, know your client. It needs to be something that attracts your client, because let's be real. Ultimately, all of this branding that each of us creates is to attract clients so we can be profitable. Now, what do you say to that person who says, okay, but my what I'm drawn to and everything isn't what my target client would be drawn to? There's a very strong disconnect between the two.